Hey guys, welcome to portioning episode 8, the first portioning of 2024 called FHE, Festive Home Eateries. So as you know, it's coming up to be St. Patrick's Day and so I make some really awesome desserts. So I begin with some really awesome flan, which is a Dominican Spanish, dessert. Then I got some really awesome my favorite green food of the new year, which is Yasso, the new St. Patrick's Day themed yogurt ice cream bar, mint chocolate ice cream bar. I'll make a sorbet for that. And then finally, I'll be trying some Cadbury eggs in advent of Easter. So I'll be covering 3 different type of festivals: Carnival, St. Patrick's, and Easter for this very special episode. So as you can be seeing that I have now done a new perm for my hair. There's been renovations in my house, in my personal life, and cooking's become my new passion in times of mental health and stuff. So without further ado, I'm gonna start making a flan first. So flan in Spanish really means a pancake or like a type of cake dessert. So I'm going to be making it with a nice cake mold. So the previous portion episode a year ago, in celebrating my 20th birthday, I was able to enjoy a nice birthday cake pan. Tonight, I'm going to be making a little bit more different than that. So at first, I'm going to show you guys the ingredients to make the flan. We got some sugar. We'll put in a 1/4 cup to try to melt. We got evaporated milk, which is very important for flan. We got la lechera, or like leche. So condensed milk, leche condensada acusada. Basically, good old sweetened condensed milk for flan. And finally, last but not least, we got them eggs. Nice whole large eggs from Publix. So, as you can tell, I made some new Spanish friends and Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Latinas, what have you. I decided to celebrate Carnival and also mix up with Easter and St. Patrick's with the celebration. So without further ado, here are the steps to make the flan. So first thing I'm going to do is basically melt a 1/4 cup of white sugar for the flan. So without further ado, I'm going to open now the turbinado sugar. Now this could be any type of sugar you want. You could have white sugar. We could have also cane sugar. So what about my personal life right now? So I managed to get my 1800 certifications. There'll be an episode about certification tier list sometime after Easter. A bit of April Fool's Day episode actually, which is pretty cool. I also managed to have a new, life in Ponyo in Orlando. Things are going pretty well. And also I am doing well in my new church in the LDS. And furthermore, I'm now going for, some nice personal lifestyle changes in terms of working out more and just doing some better things. And go Boston Celtics to clinch a playoff spot. I also want to have a word for March Madness. I'm actually going to follow the sports, but not really look at the score too much because working on some idolatry stuff. So for the flan, what you want to do is the following. You want to pour about a 1/4 cup of sugar. Now bear with me guys, I have not made flan like this before, so this may or may not work. Let's see how this goes, honestly. So you can see the sugar is very granulated, it's very, very coarse. Pick it up a bit, like Taylor Swift, shake it up. Yeah, here we go. About a solid cup of sugar for the flan. So I'll be melting that such sugar in this nice little pot, which is very important. So I'll be doing it right now. So while the sugar melts, I'll have to turn on the fan because I don't want to make it too boiling. So I have to melt the sugar in the stove. So make it the caramelized portion of the flan in the stove for the bottom part of the flan. So be very careful while melting sugar. It will burn. So be very, very careful. So I'll be pausing this episode into two parts. The cooking process will not be shown because it takes about 30 minutes to an hour, but I'll show you the major parts as well. So while the sugar is melting, or at least you know, hopefully melting. I do have a new wooden ladle to help deal with the sugar, so that's very good and all. So I'll need about 2 whole eggs for this flan, actually. So, little bit of life hack I learned from Nick Giovanni and cooking YouTube channels. You crack the eggs, hold them with one hand, right? You want to crack them like this, and then immediately separate the egg and the yolk. So that's 1 whole egg right there. Done. In addition, you want another egg because you're making basically a whole set of flan. And yet another egg, 3 whole eggs. There they go. No shell, no waste. So you can see, guys, I have now 3 wholly cracked eggs over here. As you can, sort of see. Move the camera a bit. As you can sort of see, I have now 3 fully cracked whole eggs here, which is very, very good. Next up, I'll be melting the sugar on the stove. So I'll be basically pouring melted sugar onto this. So because of that, I'll need to make sure I don't contaminate my hands. I'll wash my hands a bit. So while the sugar is melting, I'll be, putting in some of the ingredients. So I'll be adding in a can of sweetened condensed milk. So La Legionera for the flan. So I'll be putting that in there as well. So a good old trusty can opener for the flan. This is essential for any Dominican, Spanish, or Latino, ingredient. And basically from Publix, how Florida man gets things dirty, I'm gonna be washing this thing as well. Always make sure your utensils in cooking are clean for the most part. So I'll be opening the can like so. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just open the can as best as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just enough to open, some pieces of it and pop up the top. So why open the can? I'll ask you guys your favorite question. Which team do you think will win it all this year for March Madness, the guys and the girls? I think personally, LSU has a good chance for the women. Also, Paige Becker's UConn. I think for the guys, I give honestly Arizona and Houston and maybe even Purdue and Duke a chance. So I'm not exactly making a bracket for March Madness, but that's how I think it'll go. I wish Northeastern or BU can make it, but Northeastern tried once against Kansas and it was a blowout. So that's sad. BYU also has a good chance from church. So You never know, man. March Madness could do a lot of things to your brackets that, similar to flan, can make things quite finicky. What I really like about this dessert is that it's very, very personal to my preference for Hispanic Latino foods, and also to my Chinese 点心. Like I like Guangdong style dim sum and sweets and stuff. I actually got to watch that type of stuff for triglycerides. So this recipe is fairly healthy in terms of like general, caramel and like Hispanic desserts. It's like what my friend Annie and from some people from Thursday, like la comida mejor es la comida buena. Good food is amazing food. So therefore, there we go. We have amazing good food with amazing good partners and friends. It's all happy family in the Lord, and that's really amazing. This can opener is proving to be a little bit tricky. I might have to work on it for a bit more in this episode, but while I do so, I have managed to now start thinking about making a new series on YouTube called Coding Missions. So we'll be talking some very basic stuff about cloud computing, business analytics, good stuff from AZ900 and AWCCP. I was thinking about doing AZ104, but realized life got in the way, stuff got in the way, and I'm gonna have to hold off on that. So certification-wise, I am good to go for the most part, but I do have some stuff to do. So while I check the sugar, I'll give you guys a trivia question. How many teams have won the NCAA title in a three-peat? The answer will be when we come back. So the answer is none. There's never been a three-peat of NCAA tournament. Hopefully, one team in the near future will be able to do so. So while the sugar is still melting, I'm going to talk more about flan. So this is now the sugar that you want to have, right? So you want to put almost all of it after you mix the eggs. So let's first mix the eggs, okay? Before we go any further. So I learned a new trick, life hack for mixing the eggs. I'm going to now stand this thing on its side and quickly just use this side to mix the eggs immediately. So it doesn't even like take more than like 30 seconds to mix the eggs forward. The flan's the most difficult dessert I'm making. So apologies in advance if it's not perfect, but it's the best thing I would try in terms of like upping my dessert and baking skills. It's also, a shout out to my Dominican friend Annie and a few other people in the church as well. Like it's been just a great way to get things done and praise the Lord, make good witness for His good food. And also, if you guys saw Dune too, flan's very special because that's the type of dish that would honestly make the Dune people really happy to move rocks in and like fight off, some emperors. And it's also sponsored by, Wonka, Timothy Chalamet, Wonka. Oompa loompa doopity doo. I got a bad feeling for you. That's a new song from Jaguar. Shout out to that, bro. The eggs been nice and fluffy, mixed up real good. So time to chuck in the ingredients. We're going for more of a brulee for this flan. So we're gonna really go for brulee. I'm gonna make sure I get my la lechera and start checking the ingredients here real quick. So the thing about flan is that you have to be really careful with the ingredients you use. So let me just quickly deal with the milk. There we go. They keep on pouring, some lechera, the old, the old milk. So canned sweet condensed milk should be more than enough. See, there you go. I put in now the milk for good measure. So you don't need too much condensed milk in this recipe. All you really need is like half a can maximum. So just keep on pouring out the milk and be careful with your hands. This can get a little bit sharp, pouring out the sweet condensed milk. Okay, I think we have enough condensed milk for the flan, for the most part. This is a very small flan I'm making, so it's not too much. All right, now we go in for the can of evaporated milk. So don't worry, if you don't use up all the milk, that's okay. The recipe does not require for much. If you don't use up all the milk, that's absolutely fine, guys. You can use it for other things like, fruit sweeteners, some mayatang, some really good alternative recipes for milk. Just like almost like tres leches type of cake, this Dominican spinach flan. It's quite nice to make. And shout out to, my Latino friends in church and everybody for International Women's Day. I think honestly, respecting women is important. Respecting people, aka don't put your partner's social media photo on Facebook if they're not comfortable, those type of things, like just respecting people's boundaries and everything is super important. So I recommend a really good reading from the brother Dr. Henry Cloud about boundaries. So I think people just need to start respecting, some godly boundaries and everything. You need enough milk for the spawn to actually hold itself. So that's what's very important here. It's like squeezing the udders of a cow. This is a very labor-intensive dessert. I'm willing to make it for Carnival and St. Patrick's. That should be enough. Delicious. That should be enough condensed milk. So let me check how my sugar is going. If the sugar is not melting, I'll add in some more milk to make sure it does melt. There we go. That makes good use of it. Also add evaporated sugar as well. My apologies, the evaporated milk to make it a little bit sweeter. As you can see, guys, I've made now some nice caramel here for the flan. So I made some nice solid caramel here for the flan. So that's how I make caramel. Basically, mix some sugar, mix some cream, make some awesome caramel for the flan. So now the magic moment begins for all the flan, where you put all the pieces together. I'll first put my caramelized sugar safe near the oven. Put my eggs away, don't need any more eggs, of course. And to really bougie this thing up, I'm going to show you guys a neat trick to take off the foil. Do you see this sharp edge over here? Don't want to chop your hand off with some Patrick's Day where have a boo-boo. So what we want to do is grab a table towel to protect your hands from while ripping the foil. This little bit life hack I learned. So you want to make sure the foil covers the baking dish, which is very important. You want to bake for 1 hour for this flan. So I'm going to give exactly 1 hour, and I'll show you how the flan tastes at the end of this episode. So this is by far the most time-consuming episode of Portion with Jason, but you always learn when you making more bougied up. So I'm first going to make sure this nice bowl is being properly well coated with oil. So here you go, guys. I'm going to use Pam spray here on the pan. So bear with me. Pam is the essential ingredient for all mixers. And if you don't happen to have a brush, that is okay. You can use a nice little paper towel to lap it all on. To lube up your pan mix with one. So for flan, you want to first pour in the sugar on the stove. So since it's a fairly hot operation, you'll need these. So I'm going to put the sugar into the stove. The sugar as the base of the flan. This hopefully should cover the base of the entire flan, hopefully. I'm expecting that's the case. So we're going to invert the flan from top to bottom. Next, you want to pour the egg mixture into the flan. So you want to pour the egg mixture into the baking dish. So here you go. This is going to be a fairly shallow flan, but delicious flan because of it. So I'm going to preheat the oven for at least 30 minutes. I'll do that right now. I also want to bake at 350 for flan, just FYI. Bake in the preheated oven for 1 hour. So bake at least 30 minutes, 350 for oven. So while the oven preheats for my delicious flan, I'm going to wrap it up with foil. Let me first show you a bird's eye view of the flan right now from my camera so you can see properly. This is what the flan looks like. There's caramel on the bottom and some nice sugary stuff on the top. That's how a good flan should be. So while the flan cooks, and I'm going to wrap it up with some proper aluminum foil. We're going to work on making the sorbet now. So as you all know, sorbet is basically a very fancy word for ice cream. So I'm gonna put my heated flan sugar thing aside so it doesn't cause too much trouble. And make the sorbet. So for the sorbet, you're going to be having the following ingredients. We're gonna still be using this thing, by the way. We're gonna have one Yasso ice cream cone with St. Patrick's Day. So let's take a look at the Yasso ice cream cone, shall we? What you can tell, it's green and chocolate chippy, so it's very, very good St. Patrick's Day sorbet. So it's a very nice green St. Patrick's sorbet. What we want to do with the sorbet is you want to chop off the top piece, just like a regular ice cream. We're gonna chop up the regular piece. Now be careful, don't chop up your hand. So just chop around the bar, like an ice cream. Just chop around the top of the bar. Make sure it falls flat once you chop it off. If all fails, grab it with your hands and rip it off. That's the old-fashioned. Okay, let me eat ice cream as well. Quite good. The ice cream's very good. It's nice and minty, refreshing. So now you're gonna add in a little bit of sugar for the ice cream. To add in a little bit of the evaporated milk for the sorbet. So here you go. Add some of that. Just a few teaspoons, nothing too crazy. Now the main titular ingredient. You want to add in some milk. So I got some public milk, fat-free milk to add into sorbet. So here we go. Adding a good glug of milk to cover up the sorbet. Of course, what's a sorbet with the ice? Let me get some ice. I'm gonna get some ice over here. Okay. Looks like no ice from my fridge. So that's it. That's the sorbet, essentially. This is a rather small sorbet. I'm gonna use a small amount. You want to make the sorbet nice and frothy in the blender. So bear with me a second. We have the sorbet nice and frothy here. You want to keep it in the freezer, for like 30 minutes for the sorbet. Oven is still preheating, of course, but we already got the sorbet done. So for the sorbet like this, I want to bougie it up a little bit with a nice high tail. I'm gonna bougie it up a bit with the high tail for sorbet. So just pour the sorbet in here. Nice refreshing sorbet. Optionally, you can do some garnishes on the sorbet. But I like it as is. So the mint ice cream sorbet is ready to go. That will be our drink of the episode. And finally, last but not least, Cadbury eggs. So it's my first time ever trying a Cadbury egg for Easter, but I'm going to be giving this a nice solid review for Cadbury eggs. This I got from Publix as well. So while my oven preheats, I will now share you the part 2 of the episode once the flan and everything else has been made. So part 2 is coming up shortly. Enjoy your break, guys.